The topic for the moment is the definitive Charcha, the human touch in the digital world. This session is going to be moderated by the one and only Aditi Mishra, who is the CEO, Lodestar UM. Give it up for Aditi Mishra, ladies and gentlemen, as she comes over here on stage. Zor se taali ho jayegi, please give it up. Anirban Majumder, who is the partner, Data and Analytics, PwC. Good afternoon. Give it up for Mr. Anirban as well, please, ladies and gentlemen. You know, when I say give it up, we can actually give it up. Like that, yes. Thank you. Thank you. We have the pleasure of having Jalaluddin Mondal, who's the business head, Zee Bangla Cinema and cluster marketing head East, Zee Entertainment Prizes. I read Zee Bangla Cinema. Wow. Sir, Zee Bangla Cinema, some role pakka mere liye? Kolkata ka hi ladka hoga. We also have Navarun Sen, who's the president of Century Ply. Please give it up for sir, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Navarun Sen, President Century Ply. You know, all stalwarts and experienced people in their fields. I'm the least learned out of all of them. So it's an actual pleasure to share the stage, even if it be for like a minute or two. But then quickly passing it over to you all. Please share your expertise. We are all willing to look forward to it.
Hello, yeah, great. So thank you all for attending this exciting session, and thank you to the entire team to give us an opportunity to talk about this interesting topic, which is the power or the reason why we should have some human touch in the digital world. So just to kick start, I mean, all of you would be aware that we are somewhere between the 4th and the 5th industrial revolution today, where the whole anticipation is that there is going to be a world where digital will perhaps take over, like we were discussing a short while ago, and be able to do a lot of things that human beings do today. And therefore, as marketeers or as people who think about brands, who think about services, it is important for us to look at this from a lens of where and how much of human intervention is really required. And I hope you are all okay with what I'm speaking. In case you want me to switch to a different language, bit of Hindi, bit of Bangla, do let us know. Because the whole idea of all of us being on the stage is to share our learnings and our experiences, and hopefully you all can look at how that can help you in your worlds and your spaces. So with that, I think I'll move to the first question, and I'm going to ask all the panelists one by one. In terms of getting digital, what exactly is digital in your sphere of work, and how much of human interaction do you have today? What are the elements of being human and being digital which are coming together in your work world today? So if I can start off with you, Navarun.
Thanks Aditi, and thanks Anjali for putting this together. So actually, if you really look at it, it's like pervades every aspect of our work life today, the digitalization and digitization both. You know, in terms of data and data points, we are trying to get our digitization going, and digitalization is when we are trying to automate as much of our processes as possible. So today, even like I come from a very old economy, a company and a product category like plywood, and you would be amazed at the amount of digitization that we are having to adopt to stay relevant. Right through from our processes, our sales processes, our obviously our audit, accounting, and more importantly, this being a CMO forum in terms of our marketing initiatives and activities, the amount of digitalization is really enormous, and it is pervading across all our touch points. It's not just about consumer communication. It's not just about how to run our website or our digital campaigns, but even in terms of processes. For example, our dealer network, old economy dealers. But today I have a model where I'm coming up with predictive churn model. Which dealer will fall off later. Now I'm using digitalization to take me there. And coming back, and in fact I was for a moment wondering why we, for a session like this, that too in the digital space, which is all very young people, have too many gray hairs to actually contribute. But then there's one point that I'd like to highlight before we really start all of this off, is, when I sit through some of the brand and marketing presentations, I get thrown a lot of data, it's like the bounce rate is so high, click-through rate is X, and all the jargon that is there. And I ask these young girls, these marketing guys, can you explain to me, simple English or Bangla or Hindi, what does it mean? What's the inference? What's your insight? And given your insight, what are you going to do about it? If you can tell me in simple language, then I know what you are talking about makes sense. So
that's a very nice and I think fun way of putting the power of where the human interpretation of data really comes in. So I'm going to pick up one of the points that you said and move to Jalal. So Jalal, very interestingly, he spoke about the fact that it's a brick and mortar kind of a business. Yeah, and there, where is digital and digitization coming in? So just moving to your space, content as a space, and all of us as human beings, we want to be entertained, we want to see more. That's a space which is really heated up with data and availability of easy content. But how do you see this whole connect? How do you see, let's say, content on television, same content on OTT, and where is that interaction happening? And as a content marketer, how do you look at these two elements coming together? How do we get people into the fold and continue to get them to be with us? What's your take on that?
Okay, thanks. But before that, I just wanted to reflect what Navarun said. In fact, that's the challenge. That's one of the challenge that we all are going through. We just carried away with certain terminology. The way all the tech monsters want us to perceive, more so often than not, this is what is happening. And at the end of the day, if you ask that fundamental questions, that what is the insight? What is that deeper understanding of your consumer mind? Then actually you're struggling. And in my mind, we're still not able to really address that, how digital marketing, quote unquote, is addressing those fundamental aspects of brand. Because at the end of the day, to me, brand is living in the mind of consumer, right? Which is the psychological or the emotional dispositions which is there. And those are fundamental, as Navarun said. I think those are the challenges that we'll have to deal with for more times. It's not going to be easy to answer. Coming back to the point which you said, see, this piece is still evolving. Okay, whether the content is going to be platform agnostic or there are certain content which is going to be more relevant in certain platform. That space is evolving. There are content which is platform agnostic. In fact, we kept on saying in our internal discussion that if the content is good, it's going to be relevant across all the platforms. And there are plenty of such cases. The issue is that those deeper understanding of consumer mind, those are still not really understood it well. More often, we're just going on the surface and we're just making what we are seeing. We're just still not able to see through that 1/4, 3/4 which is there under the water. But in my mind, if content is good, internally we said that what consumer connects is the intent. More than your content, it's the intent what matters. And somehow or the other way, consumer understand that intent, whether that intent is honest or not. And if he or she is able to connect with that intent, good to win. That's what we try to make this entire thing very simple. Yeah.
So absolutely right, Jalal. Like you said, of course, what of us are here to win, to grow and to sort of get to the next stage, and perhaps digital is one of the ways or one of the levers that we want to use for that. The other interesting thing that you brought alive, I think, and perhaps a lot of us struggle in, not only the grey but the young people also, in terms of really decoding what so much of data means. What is it leading us to? Where do I read? What is right to read? And that really brings me to you, because Anirban, you need to tell us from your lens, when you talk across sectors, you look at different kind of techniques. Where is this data leading all of us to? You know, are people really struggling with this humongous data being analyzed? And secondly, how do we bring this layer of human ingenuity, human creativity in terms of interpretation of that data? Because unless we can channelize that data into what does it really mean, and to address this point, what do we do? Where am I supposed to take this information? What is it that you are seeing?
Sure, thank you so much for asking the question, and it is quite pertaining to my profession also. I'm Anirban Majumder from PricewaterhouseCoopers. In the last 17-18 years, I've been delving towards the data and analytics as a practice, serving many different clients' needs. That's where I actually sense this particular need. And if I answer this question philosophically, Einstein has created multiple different theorems. And one of the theorems is the special science of relativity. And that particular theorem talks about how to go for the future, how the time travel can happen. So data is the only fuel of the structure through which we can do the time travel, not physically, but understand what is the persona, what is the perception, what is the formula for future. And that's exactly what I heard from Navarun's voice. While doing the overall understanding of the overall process in business, how exactly he could read the customer persona and their behavior towards his or overall product for the company, and the attack to understand how exactly they can attract better. That's where the channel prediction comes in the play. So data, very honestly, we have been capturing the data for quite a long time. But translating that data into right information is the key. That's why the insight part comes in. And the trust me, we are actually working with multiple clients. Everybody is going for the automation, for the speed, for the market presence part. They want to compete with each other. And initially, probably multiple different campaigns. We are talking about marketing campaigns. Multiple campaigns have also been designed, targeting with certain perception that probably we are going to make this particular return over the investment. But now the boards are very much kind of skeptical about those kind of thought process. They are looking for, if you are really doing the investment for a marketing campaign, what is the ROI against demography, against the target audience? How to define that? So you need to be much more objective rather than subjective. And that's why data can actually play the role. And this particular data can give you the factual results, what is happening in your trends, what is happening in your past. The pointer which just now Jalal mentioned about the content, I just want to add one pointer from my side. Yes, the authenticity, the reality, the appeal, the transparency, that is very, very important. These are the key factors to define the brand, connect the individual or the consumer towards your brand and have a long-term relationship. But how to achieve that? Right now, just before this session, we have been seeing that there's a campaign and targeted campaign we talked about. Right now, the campaign is also being contextualized. So if somebody would like to send in a particular campaign, they need to understand the TG, what is the target group of audience they're going to address, what is the purpose, what time they would like to address, whether the audience is nearby, if it's a brick and mortar shop, whether the audience is nearby, if you can catch on to that particular individual and propagate that particular campaign, or the opt-in rate, which is the campaign opt-in means they are accepting the campaign and the purpose has been served. That particular part is coming. Every decision point is right now driving into the data. Content generation engine, right now multiple different AI algorithms are there, automation tools are there, platforms are there to generate the content. But do we ever imagine that what kind of content we produce? Multiple neural network engines are right now placed just to identify, understanding the different variability. What content would be good for which state, which genre, which language? Right now people are crafting their storyline not like it is script. They're doing this particular neural network engine to understand what will be my outcome. What will be my acceptance? What is the tagline? What is that? What the viewership? Based on that, they understand what the investment they are going to make. So that is what we are actually heading towards. Answering your question.
No, so absolutely you're right that people are using data and hopefully being able to predict faster and in a better way, in a more speedier way than what would have taken, let's say, teams of people to do do it as was done in the past. So that is what is helping marketers become more efficient. It is helping marketers probably become more accurate as well, because you are able to analyze data much faster and correct results are coming in. I think the only question that then comes to all of us is, because it's fast data being analyzed always, you know, any kind of a data, whether it's small data, large data, it's always fast data. And nothing can really get a machine or any kind of a technology to give you new data, completely different pattern, yeah? So, in that kind of a scenario, how much do we want to depend on a machine versus a human being? That, I think, becomes our question. And just to address, I think, what all of us have been thinking about, how does Gen AI really therefore come in the picture? How much do I trust Gen AI, and what should I be looking at doing with Gen AI? So Navarun, a quick one-liner on what's your view of Gen AI versus people, and where do you think the cusp really lies?
See, Gen AI is not only about predictive, forecasting. It's also about learning new ways to forecast and learning new data. You know, that's Gen AI. It's generative. You know, it doesn't really depend on past data. Well, that's all futuristic, but they have to be rooted and grounded at some level. And for that, you need the human interpretation and understanding. You can get lost in data, but you have to sift through it and come up with those few credible, trustworthy communication or proposition that solves the current problem of your customer. See, every customer has some need gap. And if you are able to solve it, then your brand becomes very good. And to be able to identify, the data will throw up all the options, but then you have to take a decision yourself as to which option would work best for your category. And that is where the human intervention comes in.
Thank you. And Jalaluddin, yes, go ahead.
In fact, just to make it little oversimplified, if I may allow, whatever you call it, Gen AI or digital marketing or AI or whatever you call it, at the end of the day, it's just technology, right? I mean, we got to really understand what would be the role of technology in building brand. That's the fundamental question that any businessman or any marketer need to really understand. It's not going to be easy to answer. I mean, you just ask yourself that what technology is there across the field? What would be the role of that technology to make or build your brand? I mean, technology is an enabler or is going to be the driver? I mean, in my mind, it's an enabler. At the end of the day, to build a brand, you got to really deal with the human mind. And there are hundreds of ways that you can be empowered, okay, to make choices, to make decisions. Technology is one part of that. But when you are dealing with human mind, you got to deal with a human way of dealing, right?
No, absolutely. All emotions, how we relate to a brand is all about the emotion we feel for the brand. It's so much beyond the product.
I tell you, the most talked about marketing concept in the last 1 decade is called brand experience. And there is a person called Brackers. He forwarded this concept in 2009, right? And then it got fire like hell. In the era of technology, a concept like brand experience, and then thereafter a concept like brand love, forwarded by one great Indian scholar called Rajiv Batra. These are the concepts which got fire like hell. You go and Google brand love or the brand experience, you will see the kind of impact it has created. Right? Digital marketing, we got to understand. I mean, never heard of called TV marketing, never heard of called radio marketing, never heard of called print marketing, digital marketing. All of a sudden, we are still struggling. What is the role of digital marketing? Is it a technology? Is it an enabler or is it a driver of a consumer brand? Those are the fundamental questions that we need to stick to.
So probably I'll just add on the same question and taking this theme. I just try to coin an example. one of the biggest brands in the beverage sector is Coca-Cola, and when they are actually facing a major market competition against other beverage companies in roughly 2014 or 13 kind of time frame, and they have gone for a share co kind of a campaign.
That's right.
And that is what? That is connecting to the individual. So personalization and connecting to the user group or the community of the consumers. And while doing that particular part, they have shared the code can and you can customize it. The individual can customize it. It's a huge favor because user-generated content, what right now we do in digital world, that time is more of a physical interaction. In the local kiosks, lots of queue, they can totally grab the eye, all the newspapers are covering them. So immediately the sale goes up. The sale goes up with the 2 percentage point from overall revenue level, and they are continuously going down. So this is a huge ruckus in the overall system, and everybody wanted to follow that. It was in 2014, I'm talking about. Now, there's a real magic campaign again happening in 2023. The playing date is different. Playing date is GenAI, which we are talking about. What they are using, they are actually asking all the consumer to paint with multiple different folk symbols or the different artifacts and try to put their own imagination on top of it and post into social media. That is also creating a huge ruckus in the entire industry, and again the focus is going up. So the thought process which Jalal is trying to talk about, maybe the human being thought about the process, the challenge, more authentic, connecting to the user group or the consumer group, make them use their own product and try to create the relevant product for them. That's the agenda, but right now it's being driven by the technology enablement. So that's why the Jalal probably was making the point. It is probably technology-led or human-led, but other one is supporting. So if you put technology as a lead actor, then human is supporting it. So enabling by human, or in the version of Jalal, maybe human-led and technology supported. That's what is happening.
I just want to one quote. I was hearing him, and one of my favorite philosopher and poet, American poet called Maya Angelou, in case of you have heard of. She said that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never ever forget how you made them feel. That's brand.
So I agree, nice. Just to sort of build on the same author, and interesting you got that example. It's a brand I worked for many years, and that campaign was a campaign which I was really involved in. So good you brought it up, and I think if I was to really sum up, because I see we are sort of running out of time in Maya's words, so the way I think what we are all agreeing is that technology will remain an enabler of what a brand needs to do. And as new technology comes, as new things come in, they will just add to what we want to do. But the decision on what is to be done and why that needs to be done is the decision that a brand or a marketer will make. And to close on Maya's words, you do the best you can do today. And then when you know more, you will do better. So just to rephrase her words. So I think that's where we would like to end today. And I hope you enjoyed the session. But the next takeout is that despite wherever technology goes, despite whatever kind of data, analytics, digital we have, there is always going to be a level of human supremacy to guide that and to decide what is really relevant from all the things that come up from that technology or that data. Thank you everyone. I think great panelists and lovely discussion. And thanks to all of you. Have any questions now, or what's your
We have space
agenda?
for one question. I know I would have loved to take all the questions, but we have space for one question. Sir over there at the back raised his hand, so I'll come to you.
Hi, good afternoon to all the panelists. I think that was a very engaging session. My question specifically is to Navarun. Navarun, as you very rightly and succinctly pointed out, the grey-haired generation, I belong to that generation also, where digital first is an animal most of us have to grapple with. Yours being such a traditional brick-and-mortar company, you did touch upon the subject briefly. How is it that you market to the new age consumers when it comes to digital first as campaigns? do you people ever think of launching any product range first on digital instead of the traditional showroom-based or national media-based approaches of marketing?
Well, obviously digital is a very large portfolio in our media. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, you would be the right person to tell us. But digital spends have actually crossed the
so there is an industry, but we haven't really crossed. But please go ahead.
Right. So anyway, obviously a lot of our delivery, particularly, the biggest difference between yesteryears and today is two things. One is digital allows us to address an individual rather than a group. Secondly is the consumer's buying behavior has been changing, and today consumers don't just want to buy an item because they want to feel good or it's a need that they have. Obviously they have the need and that is the reason they buy. But the buying behavior is a partnership where the expectation is that the brand collaborates and works with them as a partner and takes them through their entire brand experience that we're talking about. So therefore, for even traditional companies like ours, suppose for example, let me give you a very specific plywood. You buy plywood to make your furniture, but the biggest challenge for our customer, and all of you are here, you hardly know anything about plywood because it's not something that you deal with in everyday life. So the biggest challenge and the pain point when you are actually purchasing a plywood is to understand what is plywood, and you seek help from others, influencers and friends, as to how to buy your product. So therefore today the digital support and the marketing effort is not about telling how much better my product is, which is obviously one part of it, but also helping the customer, go through the path of the purchase and intervene at each point and assist the, partner with the customer to actually end up making the purchase. And that is where digital helps us. Nothing else would have helped us in the past.
So I'll just add to what Navarun said. So I think two areas where digital specifically comes into play, because the customer journey has changed for all categories, is the first is discoverability. So how do I discover a brand more quickly? How do I quickly get to know that this is there? Because consumers, when they want something, automatically tend to go on search and try to find out. So earlier search used to be the 5 people I know around me. Now it has expanded to include digital. You still talk to the 5 people around me. It's not that that has gone away. It's just that there is an added layer which has come in. So it's important for the brand to be discovered in those spaces. The second place is where I want to know more about a brand. So I know sometimes, like you said, plywood is not something you really know details about. I want to understand grain, I want to understand, okay, which one is better, what thickness is right. Those kind of nuances is much easier to go and find online than visit a shop near me or to find a designer and ask him 20 questions. So that's what has really changed, and we try to leverage that to make sure that the brand gains from those people who are what we call in market.
Right. No, and just to add to, for example, it's not that you provide all the information in one go. You have to move with the customer on his or her journey, and the inputs or the information or the hand-holding is done at appropriate points of time. And this is where digital actually media helps us to do it.
So probably the reach part and the convenience part, that is coming to the digital. But the main brain, how exactly make the journey, that comes from the human being.
Give it up moment है ये ताली बजा दीजिए please. ये था definitive चर्चा, लेकिन this was truly the defining चर्चा post lunch. Give it up for all of them. These are wonderful speakers. I request them to kindly pose here on stage for a special group photo opportunity. Thank you so much.